Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, born on February 24, 1967 in Ikot Ekpene, Ondo State, is a seasoned lawyer, successful businessman, and prominent politician. Elected in 2023 under the All Progressives Congress, he represents the Ondo South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly, marking his first term as senator. Senator Jimoh holds a Bachelor of Law from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State. He has a master's degree in public administration from Obafemi Awolowo University, another master's in law and international taxation from Harvard University, USA. He has a business doctorate from the University of Cambridge, UK, awarded in July 2022. Senator Ibrahim is the chairman and CEO of Global Fleet Group, a conglomerate with diverse interests including Air Nigeria, formerly Virgin Nigeria, a national airline, Nikon Insurance, a leading Nigerian insurance company, Nigeria Reinsurance Corporation, a key player in reinsurance, Nikon Luxury Hotel, a premier hotel in Abuja, Energy Bank, a commercial bank based in Accra, Ghana, operational since February 2011. In November 2023, he was appointed chairman of the Senate Committee on Inter-Parliamentary Affairs. In this role, he represents Nigeria on global platforms, including the United Nations Inter-Parliamentary Union, IPU, hearing in 2025. Committed to grassroots development, Senator Ibrahim actively engages with his constituents through impactful initiatives that foster community progress and empowerment. With a career spanning law, business, and politics, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim has solidified his position as a key figure in Nigeria's socio-economic and political landscape.
Hello there and welcome to the one-on-one segment of the program NASS Unplugged. I am Mariam Zakari. My guest today is a lawyer, a businessman, and he is the senator representing Ondo South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly. He is also the chairman Inter-Parliamentary Committee. He is Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, at plenary, the Senate constituted a committee to investigate alleged illegal annexation of Nigerian maritime territories and mangrove islands in Cameroon, and you have been saddled with the responsibility of being the chairman of that committee. What should Nigerians expect from that committee, especially as we know that so much has been lost due to this annexation?
Yeah, thank you very much. Issues raised includes Nigeria's sovereignty be threatened by Cameroon, and that is very insultive. Issues like oil well and demarcation in terms of sovereign boundaries were before were under the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Sea, and Nigeria is signatory to that treaty on Cameroon. But over the years, we've had a case in the International Court of Justice where we had the oil peninsula in Bakassi that was ceded to Cameroon. But rather than stopping at that, Cameroon have now decided to come to the water territorial jurisdiction of Nigeria, which is even beyond the scope of ICJ judgment. And we think that we cannot be looking. Now 23 oil wells are involved, and we need to recover them as fast as possible. So the Senate ad hoc committee, which I share, is to look into this, launch investigation into this, and recover those wells back to Nigeria. We will, where necessary, report Cameroon to the United Nations for threatening to encroach on our water territory. Like I said at the floor of the Senate, this is a matter of nautical miles. So a sovereign country have a right out to 1.84 kilometer, from their boundary at the water jurisdiction to another country. So if you engage yourself beyond that, you have gone into another territory jurisdiction, and that means that you have threatened their sovereignty. And there are not only oil wells involved, The right to fishing is also involved. Pollution of the environment also involved. 23 oil well also involved. And honestly, Nigeria will never take this lightly from Cameroon. We are going to ensure that we recover those 23 oil wells.
I'd like us to move to the crisis in Rivers State, which with a lot of interventions and all that, it seems nothing is working. There is this latest move now to impeach the governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara. As a lawmaker yourself, what would you say about the crisis brewing in Rivers State?
Well, the first issue is the law. Second issue is intervention. Intervention is secondary to the law. The law is primary importance. And it was Lord Justice Holmes in 1648 that said that the prophecy of what the court will do is not pretentious. It's what I mean by law. In other words, even if the court of law is to prophesy, their prophecy will be to prophesy the law and nothing more. So in case of Fubara, if we go strictly by law, the House have a right to ask for explanation on misconduct. And that is the law. That's what anybody can do with that, Section 188 of the Constitution. And if they feel that the explanation are not satisfactory, they can cause a committee to look into it, headed by the Chief Judge of that state. Now, that is the law, like I said. If you want to mitigate the law with intervention, then there are issues of moral and legal parameter, because you are talking about legitimacy. Legitimacy simply means acceptance. Acceptance can be co-opted through law and then through moral sentiments. But it does not mean that if a negotiation breaks down, that the law will cease to exist. Like somebody said, that maybe they cross the Red Sea and coming back may be very dangerous.
All right. Some analysts have also said that with the situation in Rivers State, it poses a threat to democracy. As a lawyer and a lawmaker, what do you mean?
There is nothing the law brings that poses a danger to democracy. The law is above democracy. What the law is the law. That's what anybody can. Like I told you, even judges, they cannot do anything more than the law. That's why I said that if we are to be a prophet in the church, as a judge, a prophet in the court, you can only prophesy the law. That's why I said not pretentious is what I mean by law. So I don't see any danger that democracy seems to hang. Maybe you want to talk about security threat or crisis of unrest and all that. Those are the embodiments of the security agency, whether they are test their capability and their right to freely give Nigeria that freedom that is much expected. I also know that you can mitigate the face of the law with some moral sentiments and things come by, but that is not to say that the law can be compromised.
Now, you touched on something very important, which is insecurity. If this is allowed to continue, it can also, create problems in terms of security. And we know that Rivers State is very important to Nigeria's economy because of the, when you talk about the oil wells and all of that in Rivers State, don't you think that this also could affect Nigeria's economy should something happen?
We cannot say because you are very significant to Nigeria's economy, we will allow you to commit illegality. That's not going to happen. In terms of, is it that the one side is completely wrong and the other one is right that is causing crisis? In other words, are you saying that everything about Fubara is right, so that the wicked groups are the ones that are wrong, 100% wrong? That cannot be. Are you also saying that the wicked people don't have their own supporters in any legitimacy for themselves? Or are you saying that Fubara has absolute legitimacy on Rivers State? I don't think so. So what we need to do is to balance the situation and see how you can mitigate. But again, like I said, no matter the level of mitigation, the law, you return back to the law if negotiation breaks down. And the law is no respecter of person or institutions or whatever it is. So the law remains the law in the face of it. And he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Those are the kind of things that the law wants to look at. I'm not saying Fubara pleas should not be accepted within the confine of moral legitimacy. But what I'm saying is that the law always hang very supreme in legitimacy matter, particularly legal parameter. And this is exactly what we are talking about. We are not saying, and when you talk about security, security for who, when, and where, and how, there are a lot of issues that have to converge here. Is it security of the oil? And who has absolute security of the oil? Is it Fubara or Wiki or whatever it is? Can anybody ever have absolute security of the oil well? No.
Now, another issue.
Particularly in the face of the Nigerian nation.
This issue has also thrown up the issue of godfatherism in politics. Is Nigeria or Nigerian politics ever going to grow out of this syndrome of godfatherism?
Well, it's not that Nigeria political system is completely involved in godfatherism. Who is Bola Ahmed Aswaju godfather in politics? None. Who is my godfather in policy come to the Senate? Zero. So I don't know that it even exists. So in certain areas, maybe one or two, which represent 10% of the political aggregate, you might have godfatherism. And the consequences are obvious, that it has to do with acceptance of your godfather at the expense of the large population, the large population acceptance at the expense of godfather in politics. But I don't think the Nigerian government political system is related to the climate of godfatherism, as you all in the press will make distillments of it beyond the normal practice. But whichever way it goes, I don't also expect that you will, if you know you can win an election, why did you accept godfatherism? You can go and buy the form and then contest and win without any godfather. You can say to hell with godfather. As Bola Ahmed Tinubu, president of Nigeria, he has been winning elections. If I had first attempt in all cases, who is the godfather in politics?
Another issue I would want us to look at is the issue of insecurity, terrorism financing. It's something I know that is your field when it comes to security.
Yes.
Yes. So, according to reports, there are reports and analysis that terrorism financing in the Horn of Africa, I'm talking about reports by Nichols and Cleves, that alluded that terrorism is a big business and has continued to be, financing terrorism in Africa and even in Nigeria.
Again, that goes to the issue of the godfatherism you talk about. So who is godfather? Who's political godfather to Akpabio? Himself. So we talk about terrorism financing. It's a security issue. The terrorists will always be there. There's nothing you can do about it. What you can do is to mitigate their effects by investing in your own security. The challenge we have is that people don't invest in their own security. So if you get a 1 million naira salary in a month, you get zeros into security allocation. So you buy food in the house, you buy chicken, you buy all those things, but you don't put a penny on security. In fact, the megad out there, you probably pay him 100,000 naira or 50,000 naira to open the gates. And that is what you know about security. But the world is moving gradually. To show how you have to invest 10% of your monthly income into your own security. And that is very, very important. So all this terrorism you are talking about, you can now mitigate them when you invest in your own personal security. As a nation, you have to invest in technology. We have the AI up there to talk about security, and that is very important. So we are reducing personnel in the military, globally, to ensure that we use technology. So if you have 50 soldiers, you have to reduce to 25 soldiers and use the money for 25 for equipment for your own security. Now, in the next 10 years from now, it might not be something in vogue to find anybody in the army. The army might find it difficult to get any engagement of citizens because army don't have fundamental human rights. So if you are an officer in the army, you want to travel from here to Lagos, you need a pass, and you see your colleagues in the business sector flying to London, America, and all that. So the army or the military might not be very inviting. In the next 10 years, they may suffer to get past there. Then again, it's the hierarchy in the army, which is also another problem. So now the other rank is also coming to say that we are part of the military. The senior soldiers are also saying we are senior to you. So the dilemma will be resolved around we call the army in the next 10 years from now, one single rank. So we have to remove the hierarchy away from there and all that. These are the challenges that you get. But when we talk about IT and AI, they don't need all of these challenges. Even in 10 years from now, you enter the hotel, the AI will serve you. You go to the bank, the AI will serve you. So what are you looking for a human being to do? The next set of plane coming will be fly by AI, by artificial intelligence.
So what will happen to, which means the number of unemployment will rise?
You have to find something for yourself, or you are not needed in the population.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, what we call the ecosystem eliminating people. And that's what is happening. It's not that people say they are suffering in Nigeria, budget is not good. It's not about that. It's the ecosystem. The ecosystem is making human being unwantable. And why is this happening? Now, you Google now, you can actually do your PhD through Google. Because all the information you have are there. The data are there. How to go about the data analysis are there. So, what is that telling you? Is that you can do the PhD from home with a minimum supervision. Now, when the next plane comes, which they are working on now, it will be by AI. So you just, when you check in, you just click the button and they take you to Heathrow. So we don't even need to enter. You use your computer, to press and say, all set, you can fly, go. And then it takes you to Heathrow and drop you. And then the door open automatically, and then you disembark from the aircraft. In terms of what you want to eat, the AI serve you. So per row, there's an AI there to serve you. In terms of fastening your seatbelt, that is already computerized right now. The computer does that even in the normal plane. In my plane, for example, just press. We don't even need to have a domestic person serving anybody. You press the button and it says, you are welcome, we are going to London. There will be turbulence at takeoff, at landing and all that. Who is talking? Is AI talking? Artificial intelligence. Looking into the weather, data to London and then interpret the data. These are AI compliance. In the operation of the lift these days, AI. Level 4, level 3, level 13. These are AI. There's only human being there, operate. That's the way the plane will be operated in the next 10 years from now. So all of this will be fused out, and then human being importance will be reduced. And for governance, you have to go through AI because now we don't really need many people in government. Because government business is actually going to be contracted out, and what government is trying to do now is to focus more on security, not more on engagement in business and things like that.
Wow. Okay. So at the time when the Senate president is facing or has faced a lot of criticisms from Nigeria following the event that happened about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I read in the papers where you hailed the Senate president for maintaining political stability, strengthening talks.
Yeah.
At this time.
Yeah. What have you said? What is the offense of the Senate president? His offense is that he's a liberal human being. The liberalists, by their taxonomies and traits, they are generously friendly to everybody they see. And till Akpabio becomes so old and go, you can't take that away from him. Not even his wife can take that from him. He's a generous person. This is the characteristic of liberals. So he's a liberal person. When you see a human being, you first find out what are his traits, so that you can understand your relationship with him. So if Akpabio wife wants to marry Akpabio, you find out what are the Akpabio traits through his psychometric test. And one of the things you see is that he has excessive friendship. So what can you do about that person? You are going to a marriage where your husband will be liked by everybody, or everybody will like your husband. That's a trait of liberal. Now to the realist, they are power aggressors. To a realist, he wants power now. He's not interested what he wants to do with the power. So he wants power in essence. He doesn't like liking you. It's just about power aggression. Now let me give you a very simple analogy to this. Going to the military in Nigeria, our highest budget is on the military, defense. They keep buying bombs, equipment, and then put them in the store, bombs and all that. Remember in Ikeja, where they store everything, the bomb exploded by itself because nobody to use them. But the military are realists, they are not liberals. So if a military man is going to discipline, Buhari is a realist. He believes in power acquisition. And when they came in, he says, oh, you are many company will close down. I am here for nobody. So that is the characteristics and trait of the realist. If you compare that one to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's not like this is a liberal. Tinubu is a classic liberal, just like Akpabio. They would not want to. How many companies have been closed down since Tinubu took over the government? Zero. But in Buhari first 1 month, people ran away from Nigeria. They were living outside the country. After killing many people, taking over companies and all that. This is realist. Realists are not going to sit down with you and resolve a problem. But liberalists doesn't really want the problem. When the problem starts, they will have excessive joke. So what is happening in the Senate is because the Senate president is very friendly and he has an excessive social capital network to his advantage. So when things come up this way, people take advantage of that. So if your traits of friendshipness or friendliness is higher, people will take advantage. They will say, oh, like I said in the paper, you sexually harassed me. How? You said, when? 2003. You were in my house. I took you around. The husband was at my back. My husband was at my back. I said, do you like my house? You said yes. We shall find quality time to come and spend it. So therefore, he has sexually harassed. Where in this world does that one make? But that is the characteristics of a realist who believe I have power to deal with this. I'm looking for how to bring down a liberalist. And then I can give so many acquisitions. But I think the wife came to defend her. In this house, I come home every day. I go to school. When the day started talking to you about all of this you are talking about. But you see, even that Natasha has accused Akpabio of all of these things, and you are discussing it, Akpabio will never stop playing with people. Senators go to his table when he's presenting as Senate president, and then they stop him from even talking. While the body is waiting, he cannot stop them, don't come, wait until I finish. But a realist will say to the clerk, nobody should come near this place. That's a realist who believe in power. But Akpabio will accommodate you. Just talk about you are going, whether you talk about you don't talk about yourself, you are going to talk to him, he will listen to you. But that is liberalism. Liberalists always have this excessive tendency for friendshipness, and then of course they are friendly, to people, and people always take advantage of them when it comes to that. So, if, for example, in my house, my wife is a realist, I'm a realist. Two of us are power aggressors, so we understand what it is. So, if you want to enjoy me, you step down your own power aggressiveness. If I want to enjoy, I go liberalist this week. I allow her to be on power aggressiveness. Then I'll be liberal. Next week I want to get my power back. I go back to realist, and then she has to go down to liberalism, or we confirm power and burn the matrimonial house, and then get it to divorce. That's just how it looks like. But again, in Akpabio house, the wife is extreme liberalist. The husband is a classic liberalist, not even a neoliberalist. Neoliberalists are modern liberalists that come to realize that let me reduce the proportion of my friendliness. But in case of Akpabio's wife, she's a chronic liberal, but the husband is a classic liberal. So there's something you can do about that matrimonial home. You can't take it from them. They will continue. If you ask them in their private bedroom, do you want to resolve with Natasha? They will say yes. For me, that's impossible. It will never happen. But to them, liberals, they don't want to offend anybody. They want to be friend to everybody they've come across. Even, you remember the other time, Akpabio was decorating his ADC, and he said, I've been with you for 18 years. How can you put an ADC for it? I don't use ADC more than 6 months if I have to be in ADC, to use ADC. But Akpabio can use that ADC till life, do him apart. So that is liberals. They don't even know how to sack people that offend them. They always talk about this forgiveness and all that. Realists don't forgive, they don't compromise, they want power, they cut your head if you go against their rules. And they bring people down without looking at the consequences. That is realist. So he is a liberal. And I have to support a liberal person, just like Emmanuel Kent, who talk about perpetual peace, And again, to make things worse for Akpabio, he's also a Catholic. So again, for Catholics, they are complete liberals.
All right, let's look at your stay in the National Assembly. It's almost 2 years now since you have been here. What view of the people of Ondo South, what would they say they have benefited from Senator?
The facts speak for itself. I've done 66 boreholes, solar powered, and I'm going to commission all of them. Each of them have 6 units where people can get water. Water is a major problem in Ondo South. That is taken care of. Now, beyond that, I've been able to impart in terms of giving scholarship. I've constructed or reconstructed 28-kilometer road from Okitiwopa to Elito Ekoya to Elito to Obot Akara. A new road in Nidogun Street. Over 1,000 solar lights have been there because there was no light before. For 23 years, my central district doesn't have lights. I can report back to you that we have light now. So beyond all empowerment programs that we have initiated, employment in various sectors, I have put not less than 36 people at the federal civil service since I came in this 1.5 years as a senator. And I'm still doing more.
All right, we must thank you very much for making our time to
Thank you very
with
much.
us. That is the segment. That's it on this segment today. My guest is Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, a businessman and the senator representing Ondo South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly. And that's it on this segment. Thank you for watching.
Historically and trajectorily, you remember before 1648, or the key of the Westphalia Act, the Peace of Westphalia, where the state god authority, who was in charge, traditional rulers. From the Pope, Your Excellency, Mr. President, you are even aware of the Civil War in England. What led to the Civil War where tens of millions of people were killed? Conflict of authority between the Pope and the traditional rulers. The King of Scotland said there's nobody who has authority over the state of Scotland except himself. But this popular authority of the kings were lost in 1648 when we have the sovereignty of the Westphalia Act. It is then that Nigeria start to copy from that historical trajectory and be cautious of the role of traditional rulers. The draconian way of laws being made, and the multiplicity and multifarious duplication of traditional institutions, again, is too porous, such that laws cannot guide them. Mr. President, I will conclude by saying that even in my jurisdiction, we have almost 71 ologias and about 50 obas in a small town. How do you now dedicate and disseminate power to them? Why this is a very fantastic adventure of a bill brought by our learned senator, from Plateau. We need to be on cautious side on our sovereignty. There's a complaint before Your Excellency that the sovereignty of Nigeria is challenged by Cameroon. And as a matter of fact, we need to report this to the United Nations because the convention under which the law of sea which we sign is under the United Nations Convention. The material fact here, Mr. President, is about the law of the sea and the nautical mile of engagement, which is 1,804 kilometers. And when you violate this, a lot of issues even beyond oil comes up. Pollution, environmental disaster, right to fishing, and all embedded in this. And the 10th Senate cannot keep quiet when there's a complaint about the invasion of the sovereignty of Nigeria.
The distinguished Senator Ibrahim Jimoh Folorunsho, Chairman Interparliamentary. Am I right? Will be Chairman, because this is the time for you to utilize your PhD in warfare to stop the escalation of this provocation by the Republic of Cameroon. So you will be chairman of this ad hoc committee.